Ms. Hawthorne, are you ready? Can you give me a
She
no?
needs 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. We were so close.
I'm ready.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. The hour of 7 p.m. having arrived and passed. We were very close to on time this evening. Thank you for your patience. I call to order this legislative meeting for the Woodland Hills School Board for the month of March 2021. Ms. Hawthorne, will you call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Graves,
I don't know that he can unmute himself. Mr. Wilson?
He should be able to. He's co-host.
Okay.
Present, sorry.
Ms. Seligson, Ms. Lawson,
Here.
Ms. Curry,
Here.
Mr. Belmont, Ms. Scott,
Here.
Mr. Patterson,
Here.
Ms. Dr. Hildebrandt,
Here.
Ms. Seligson.
Present. Can you hear me?
Yes, I heard you. Thank you. Ms. Glasser.
Present. I'll note for the record that Mr. Belmont is not with us because of a family health situation. That is addressed quickly and soon. Okay, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag
of the United States of
of
America
America,
and to the
the
republic
republic
which
for which it
stands
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
Liberty.
and justice.
justice for all.
Thank you. There is fortunately no need for a moment of silence this month. We do need to accept the minutes from the February agenda meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Scott. Questions, additions, corrections to the minutes? Okay, hearing none, take the vote.
Yes.
Does not have
Yes.
valiant right.
Yes. Terry Lawson.
Motion carries unanimously. Is there a motion to accept the legislative minutes for February?
I'll make a motion.
Moved by Mr. Graves. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Scott. Questions, corrections, additions to the minutes? Hearing none, we'll take the vote.
Yes.
Mr. Patterson,
Yes.
Ms. Seligson,
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to executive session. The board met in executive session immediately prior to this meeting to discuss legal, school safety, and personnel matters as permitted by law. Mr. Harris, do you have announcements?
Yes, I do. Just two brief ones. Once again, everyone, please, we're still in school. We're virtual, but we are heading back for hybrid. But for right now, please sign into your classes every day. Students, parents, please make sure your children are engaged. If you have any questions, please contact the teachers of your students or the building principals. Parents, please be on the lookout in your mail, social media accounts, email, Facebook, everywhere, we are putting out the information for students to return to school on the 29th for hybrid instruction. If you have not completed the survey, please contact your student school and let them know your intentions. So please, the bus information will be going out very shortly. And so will, if you're in the secondary level, your schedules. And if you're elementary, you'll go to the school, you'll meet your teacher, and you'll be treated like it's the first day of school. Please, if you have not completed the survey, please contact the school directly so we can get you situated, get you routed for a bus, and your schedule complete. Thank you.
Okay. Any other announcements from board members? Okay. Hearing none. We had our student speakers last week. Thanks again to Madeline for being present, which moves us to presentations. Ms. Klein.
Good evening, everyone. I'm looking to see who's here. I see Latasia is here, but I don't see her teacher, although I see a couple that are marked laptop or a couple names I don't know. But that's okay because we actually made a video for the Wolverine Spirit Award. So we wouldn't, we could hit everybody and not miss anyone. So I think Mr. Wilson is going to play that video. Oh, here comes Miss Matthew, Latasia. Let me let her in the room. Okay. So she's here. So Mr. Wilson, you can go ahead and play the video.
Sorry, everyone. I was the host and somehow Mr. Corsi was made the host. So I'm unable to share currently. Mr. Corsi, if you could give me back hosting capabilities, I would greatly appreciate that.
I am unaware of how they returned to me. I didn't hit anything.
I understand. I most likely, as I was trying to make you co-host, I hit the wrong button and made you host instead. If you could switch me to host, I would greatly appreciate it.
Sure. How do I do that? Do I go to meeting settings?
If you go to participants and then click on me. You should see mute or more, and you should be able to click on more, make host.
Make host. Done deal.
Thank you, sir. I apologize for the delay, everybody.
No worries.
That video is coming up.
Good evening. My name is Allison Klein. I'm a principal at Wilkins Elementary School. And this month we are celebrating Wilkins, and we are awarding a couple students with the Wolverine Spirit Award. This year I had over 10 nominations for the Wolverine Spirit Award, and it was very difficult to choose. Our first winner was nominated by Mrs. Miller, Mrs. Delsignore, and Mrs. Grass. Mrs. Miller?
Thank you. Ms. Gross, Ms. Delsignore, and I nominated Ayana Peak.
Ayana, come on up.
Come on over, Ayana. Ayana shows excitement when it comes to all aspects of school. Whether it is in person or virtual learning, she always works very hard on her academics. She completes her work diligently and she participates often. Ayana shows respect to adults and peers and often is the first to volunteer if someone needs help. She has shown resiliency in overcoming obstacles and often recognizes when others are struggling with the similar issues. In addition to attending her classes and her musical instrument lessons, Ayana attends any extra social groups or lunch bunches that are offered so that she can be involved with others. Ayana is hardworking, compassionate, and a kind student who represents all the qualities of a true Wolverine spirit.
All right, congratulations.
Congratulations.
I have a gift card for you too. Congratulations, you represent Wilkins very well in the Woodland Hills District. Thank Our second Wolverine Spirit Award goes to Latasia Underwood from kindergarten, who was nominated by Mrs. Matthew. Latasia, Mrs. Matthew could not be here tonight, but Mrs. Matthew sends this message.
Hi, I'm Megan Matthew, and I'm a kindergarten teacher at Wilkins Elementary STEAM Academy, and I've had the privilege to nominate one of my students, Latasia Underwood, for the Wolverine Spirit Award. Here's a little something about her. Latasia is a wonderful and motivated young lady. She arrives to our instructional Google Meets on time every day with a smile. Her positivity is radiant, and it brightens her classmates and my day every morning. Latasia often answers questions during class and often sings her answers when she gets excited. She also completes all of her at-home activities, which is a way of saying kindergarten homework, and often adds additional feedback that is cute and helpful for me as her teacher that allows me to change the activities as needed. She is not shy in letting me know what she prefers to do and what can use some jazz. Latasia has been chosen as the Wolverine of the Week on several occasions, as she is motivated, dependable, patient, and extremely happy. She is a lovely young lady who exemplifies Woodland Hills School District and the Wolverine spirit. Thank you.
We had so many good nominations this year that we actually picked 3 Wolverine Spirit Award winners, and the third award goes to first grader Rocco Cazaro, nominated by Mrs. Davis. Mrs. Davis, yay! Come on, Rocco.
And I nominated Rocco because Rocco comes to class every day ready and eager to learn. He puts forth great effort into all he does and brings a positive attitude to our class. He is always actively engaged and gets excited when he learns new concepts. Rocco continues to progress in both reading and math. I am truly inspired by the enthusiasm that Rocco brings in learning and life. In addition to these wonderful attributes, Rocco is kind, polite, and caring, and he's always giving compliments to other students.
Congratulations, Rocco. You're going to take your award. Rocco, give a gift card too. Congratulations. Thank you for being an outstanding student.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. I do see Latasia. I don't know if you see Latasia. She's here. Can you wave to everyone, Latasia. And actually, your teacher, Miss Matthew, did come. Great job. And we have a gift and a certificate for you at school, okay, when you come back, Latasia. And also, I do see, I thought I saw Rocco. Rocco?
Rocco is also here.
You want to put your camera on and wave? Where'd he, I lost him. There he is.
There he is.
Congratulations, Rocco.
Thank you.
And I didn't see her third person. So, all right. Well, thank you very much. We're delighted to have you guys at Wilkins. And I know you're going to have a great future in Woodland Hills.
Thank you, Ms. Klein. Congratulations, everyone, on those awards. Very exciting stuff. And thank you to all the teachers who put in the time to put in the nominations and put together all those kind words about the students. It's great to hear about the success that they're having and to see all of you as well. So thank you very much to everybody for that. So I don't believe we have any further presentations, Mr. Harris. Is that correct?
You are correct.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Ms. Hawthorne, no registered speakers tonight, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, that moves us to board matters. Mr. Harris.
Here and see me. Okay, board matters 2.1, first reading of policy 004-B0G-7, oath of office certificate update.
Any questions on this policy? Okay. As a reminder for all of these this evening, we'll have 2 more months of consideration plus policy committee meetings to discuss, make the elections, etc. So please do review these as we're going forward. 2.2.
Okay, board matters 2.2, first reading of policy 150, title 1, comparability of services. Any questions? I guess no questions.
Questions from board members? I don't hear any, but at committees, I'd like to talk about what is changing in this policy. I couldn't see any substantial changes, so I'd be interested in understanding what's going to change there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, board matters 2.3, first reading of policy 137.1, extracurricular participation by home education students. This covers the junior ROTC.
Questions on this? Okay, I'll point out that this is a new policy. We do not currently have a policy 137.1. So while the changes that are highlighted in the policy are related to JROTC, we don't actually have a current policy governing homeschool education student participation in extracurricular activities. So this would be an expansion of that ability under our policy. We do have a policy regarding charter school participation, but not homeschool. So that's something that we should discuss.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. 2.4.
Okay. Board matters 2.4, first reading of policy 803, school calendars.
Questions on this? Okay, hearing none. 2.5.
Board matters 2.5, first reading of policy 805, emergency preparedness.
Any questions?
Okay, board matters 2.6, first reading of policy 904, public attendance.
Questions on this? There are some elections to make in this policy as we're going forward, so it's something to look at again and determine what we want to do there.
Okay, curriculum 3.1. We seek approval to enter into a memorandum of understanding, MOU, with the Allegheny Intermediate Unit Head Start and Pre-K Counts programs in partnership with the Trying Together and the United Way of Southwest PA to support best practices in transition to kindergarten.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Scott. Questions or discussion on this item? Okay, hearing none, take the vote.
Ms. Lawson,
Yes. I'm not seeing, but yes.
thank you.
Motion carries unanimously. 3.2.
Curriculum 3.2, we seek approval to expand our contract with Quaver Music to include all of the premium version for all students in grades K through 8 for a total one-year cost of $6,720.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Scott, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Questions or discussion?
What is this? I'm not familiar.
Mr. Wilson?
Absolutely. So Quaver Music is the software that many of that all of our elementary music teachers are currently using to teach music virtually. It's got a wide variety of lesson plans as well as access to several different songs. It's the program which we can use to put together different instruments and instrument sounds. It will read an instrument and tell a student whether or not they're on the right note and tempo and key and all of those things. Right now we have just the basic version and just the basic version for kindergarten through 5th grade, which is a very small handful of songs and a very small arrangement of activities. This would give us access fully in K-8, so 4 schools, for every student to unlimited songs, unlimited lesson plans, unit plans, and all of the bells and whistles that come with Quaver, as well as 1 full day of professional development for our educators.
Thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
Other questions? Okay, hearing none, let's take the vote.
Ms. Lawson,
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to 3.3.
Curriculum 3.3, we seek approval to enter into a one-year subscription with Rosetta Stone for all 3 pre-K to 5 schools to use during the 21-22 school year for a total cost of $39,000 to be pulled from ESSER 1 grant. Questions?
Is there a motion?
No.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Scott. Questions or discussion on this? Mr. Wilson, I'll just ask that we get a report when this is implemented about the use and how many of our students are able to take advantage of it. It's very exciting to be able to offer this, but I want to make sure that we're able to use it and make sure that kids have opportunities to pursue the language that they want to study. So
Absolutely.
great, thank you. Other questions, comments? Hearing none, take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. 3.4.
Curriculum 3.4, we seek approval to ratify the acceptance of 3 Dole Captain Planet Foundation Project Learning Garden grants, one for each elementary STEAM academy.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Dr.
Second.
Second by Ms. Scott. Questions or discussion on this? Okay, hearing none, I'll just say thank you again to Ms. Nicolo. Mr. Wilson made a point of acknowledging last week the hard work that she did on this. So thank you once again to her for pursuing this, and congratulations on the success. Ms. Hawthorne will take the vote.
Ms. Seligson,
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. 3.5.
Curriculum 3.5, we seek approval to purchase an 18-month district-wide subscription to the World Book online platform for $8,119.20 to come from the general fund secondary curriculum.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Dr. Scott, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Questions or discussion on this? Hearing
Actually,
none.
yeah, I had one question. So the access to this, is it all digital? So all of our students will be able to access these through their Chromebooks? Is that the idea?
That's
All right.
exactly right. So all,
Okay.
all 5 of the suites that we're getting access to, their ebook suite, their online advanced suite, their World Book for Kids, their early learning, and their World Book student will all be online.
Okay, then does every student or family have to fill out that connection form, or is that like at the school level? Because that looks like it's going to be a colossal annoyance if every student has to fill that out.
Right. Because we're an SSO, that should be a school level form.
Okay, that's good. Because I don't want to be the person dealing with all that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions? Hearing none, we'll take the vote.
Mr. Patterson,
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to section 6, personnel.
Okay, Personnel 6.1 was voted on last week,
That is
so
correct.
I'll go to Personnel 6.2. Okay, Personnel 6.2, A, authorization for leaves. Section B, authorization for retirement resignation. Section D, authorization to hire non-professional staff. Section F, authorization for EDR mentor actions. Section G, authorization for miscellaneous.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Scott. Questions on this would likely necessitate executive session. Is there any question that we should address? Okay, hearing none, we'll take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to 6.3.
Okay, Personnel 6.3. We seek approval to accept the retirement of Business Manager Michael Gigliotti effective September 30th, 2021.
Is there a motion?
Second.
Sorry, I didn't hear a motion.
Oh, so moved.
Thank you, Dr. Hildebrand. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Graves. Any questions on Mr. Gigliotti's retirement? Okay, hearing none, we'll take the vote.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. As we voted 6.4 last week as well, that moves us to 6.5.
Okay. Personnel 6.5, we request permission to accept the retirement of Technology Director Stephen Muter effective March 11th, 2022.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Graves, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to section 7, 7.2, as we voted 7.1 last week.
Okay, Technology 7.2, we seek approval to purchase 1,000 Chromebooks for student use at a cost of $264,000 from CDWG, funding from ESSER to COVID fund.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Scott, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Questions or discussion on this? Okay, hearing none, we'll take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to 7.3.
Technology 7.3, we seek approval to purchase networking equipment from CDWG at a cost of $7,407 from ESER 2 fund.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Scott. Questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to food service and transportation, 9.1.
Okay, food service transportation 9.1. We seek approval to pay our transportation contractors for fixed costs for those buses not in use, as outlined in Act 136 of 2020 for the 2020 through 2021 school year due to COVID-19 early school closing, utilizing option 1.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Scott. Questions or discussion?
Jamie, yeah, can we have Mike go over some of the actual costs associated with that to kind of give the board a ballpark figure of what we're talking about when we approve this tab?
Yes. Yeah, following on our discussion last week, I think Mr. Gigliotti can provide some additional information if he would do so.
Yes, hello, everyone. I worked up some numbers, projected numbers, estimated numbers, and you have two options. One is to, option one, which is to pay our contractors for their fixed cost, or option two, that is the normal process where you file your actual transportation costs, and whatever you end up with in subsidy is what you get next year. Option one, if we pay the transportation companies their fixed cost, we're guaranteed to receive a level funding of our subsidy for 21-22 equal to the 2021 subsidy, which is $3.4 million. So basically, there's savings either way you do it, but under option one, we would have an estimated payment to the transportation companies of about $700,000. Now, although we would have to pay that out, it results in us receiving our normal subsidy. If we were to file our normal subsidy of $3.4 million, if we were to use option two and file our subsidy report, we would probably see somewhere between 1 million to $1.5 million as our subsidy for next year, because it would be drastically reduced because we're not using all our buses, we're not transporting all our students, and the formula takes into consideration the age of the bus, miles with students in the bus compared to the total miles driven, and the capacity, the number of students on the buses. So if we were to use option two, we would take a hit to our subsidy of between 1.2 and $1.7 million. So the state is giving us the opportunity to keep ourselves whole next year. It's to our benefit, to the tune of between 1.2 and $1.7 million that we approve this motion as presented.
Questions for Mr. Gigliotti? Okay, thank you. Hearing no questions, take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to buildings and grounds, 10.2, as we voted 10.1 last week.
Okay. Buildings and grounds 10.2, we seek approval to dispose of surplus equipment and old furniture from SA 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12 slop sink custodian storage room. This includes old wooden tables, wooden cabinets, metal cabinets, 4 bases off the shop table, 4 bases off the shop tables, old teacher's desk, an art table, processing camera, offset printing press, plate burner, film developing sink.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Scott, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Questions or discussion on this motion? Okay, hearing none, we'll take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to 10.3.
Buildings and grounds 10.3, we seek approval to accept a donation from Tree Pittsburgh to plant 200 trees within our school district. Tree Pittsburgh will provide service at no cost to our district.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Scott, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Questions or discussion on this?
Real quick question. I know we talked about this in committee, but did we resolve the question of if residential homes could receive the donation, or is it just for our buildings? I think you asked that, Mr. Harris. I don't remember what they said.
We do have I don't have it with me right now, but there is a program where you can pick up 2 trees.
I do. It's Thursday. It's Thursday, April 22nd at 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. in our high school parking lot.
That's the residential tree adoption event.
Yes.
Okay. First come, first serve, I guess.
Pretty much, yes.
Ms. Seligson, I believe there's a pre-registration process. I would encourage interested homeowners or property owners to look at the website. There's a registration link there to pre-register, and you can indicate to the extent that they're available, the type of tree you'd prefer and some of those things too. So I would encourage everybody to look at the registration link in advance of that day.
Thanks.
Sure. Other questions? To clarify though, these 200 trees, Mr. Finney, are for our properties, correct?
Yes, they're for all of our buildings, our school buildings.
Okay. And then so the adoption event on the 22nd of April is in addition to these 200.
Correct.
Great. Tree Pittsburgh's being very generous with us. Appreciate that. Okay, other questions? Hearing none, we'll take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to 10.4.
Okay, buildings and grounds 10.4. We seek permission for Unique Services and Applications, Inc. to provide and install a 35-foot internal Halyard flagpole with a top-mounted solar light at Dixon Preparatory STEAM Academy at the cost of $4,625, paid from Capital Project Fund 39.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Scott, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Questions or discussion on the flagpole for Dixon? Okay. Hearing none, we'll take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to 10.5.
Buildings and grounds 10.5, we seek approval of the Wilkins Elementary STEAM Academy Nature Trail Project.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Second. Jinx.
take your pick.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Scott. I think that's the order I heard it. Questions on the trail continuation project? Hearing none, we'll take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to section 14, school finance 14.1.
School finance 14.1, we seek ratification of the bill list for invoices paid after February 17th, 2021 legislative meeting.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Scott. Questions on the ratification list?
I have one question. And it's just about the amount that we pay to for the Connect cards for the buses. So is that number 296 the number of students that have those Connect cards?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay.
That's how many we buy a month. I gotta find it. Sorry. But yeah, we buy so
Okay.
many a month. When they're used, they're in use. When if not, I think we get to return them. So
Okay.
we do have, charter private schools that we're transporting to, and some of ours that may need them. So
Sure. I was just curious what the number of Connect cards translated to almost $29,000. That's why I was wondering.
yeah, 296 cards, about $100 a piece.
Okay.
I forget what it is, 97 something. So.
All right. Thank you.
Other questions? Hearing none, we'll take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to 14.2.
Okay, school finance 14.2, we seek approval of the March 2021 bill list.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Scott, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Questions or discussion? Hearing none, we'll take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to 14.3.
School finance 14.3, we seek the acceptance of the February 2021 fund financial reports and student activity reports for informational purposes.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Oh, sorry. Second.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Scott.
We got
Question,
a comedy act going tonight.
I mean,
We should just take turns or something.
yeah, you could do that too. Work it out amongst yourselves. Is there any question or discussion of the fund reports, activity reports? Hearing none, we'll take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to 14.4.
School Finance 14.4, we seek approval of the investment reports for February 2021.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, seconded by Ms. Scott. Questions or discussion of the investment reports? Hearing none, we'll take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to 14.5.
School Finance 14.5, we seek approval of the budgetary transfers for March 2021.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, seconded by Ms. Scott. Questions on the transfers? I have one, Mr. Gigliotti. We're moving funds from transportation to purchase athletic supplies. What is the purchase and why from transportation?
Transportation, that's a line item that he has funds available in. I'm pretty sure that what this was an invoice from over a year ago that Mr. Corsi was having disputes with one of our vendors over, I think, the paint, the color of the helmets when they were refurbished. And at some point they corrected it and we had to pay the bill. And it wasn't, I didn't know that I had to allot for extra money for this bill to be carried over from prior year, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's related to. So it was a reconditioning invoice for football equipment.
Okay.
That is correct, Mr. Gigliotti.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Hearing none, we will take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, as we voted 15.1 last week, is there any old business? Hearing none, that moves us to new business. We have two items of listed under new business, and I believe there's a third from Mr. Gigliotti. So first, 17.1, Mr. Harris.
Okay, new business 17.1. We seek approval to change the Woodland Hills School District's Kennywood picnic date to Wednesday, June 30th, 2021.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Hildebrand, second by Ms. Scott. Questions or discussion on this?
Yeah, can we have an explanation?
Certainly.
Okay, the Kennywood date that we have in the calendar was set by previous dates set by Kennywood, but because of the global pandemic, Kennywood has changed some things and dates and are not open on the dates that we would have had it, and offered one date that was in July, which is outside of our school calendar year. So they were willing to give us the June 30th Wednesday date. So we have to amend our school calendar because it's on the calendar.
It's a vacation day, a holiday for
Holiday.
some of the staff, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Other questions? Okay. Hearing none, let's take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. That moves us to 17.2.
Okay, new business 17.2. we seek permission to enter into agreement with the Allegheny Intermediate Unit Number 3 for communications and marketing services.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Scott, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Questions or discussion on this?
Yeah, sorry, I have two questions that I probably should have asked last week. And they're sort of questions from the district side. So who is the main contact person with them? So who's going to be able to say we want X, Y, and Z done?
It'll be me.
Okay. So everything has to go through you. So somebody can't randomly say, hey, we need a video for something.
Right. We'll build a plan once we have this agreement and then put a timeline together on what our needs are throughout the year.
Okay, so that was my next question is, so do we have a list of items that we really need done by them so that, because we're paying this person regardless of if we give them jobs, correct?
Yes. Well, we have a want list, you might
Okay.
say, and things that we want to get done. So the person will be very, very busy.
Okay, that I guess that's really what I wanted to know, and what that prioritized list, if we have that prioritized list from our end, right? I'm not really questioning that they can do the work, more so than, yeah, what our plan is for that. All right. Okay, great. Thank you.
I'll go next if that's okay. So I'm just a little nervous about the numbers because maybe I'm just not processing it correctly. In one section, we're estimating $44,000 to $51,000, about $33,000 to $4,000 a month, a little over that. And then I guess capping between 70 to 80,000. So what is it? Like, those are very different figures here. And not that I don't believe in the work. I think this is needed and that they'll do a great job, but I would feel more comfortable if we had these are just estimates, unless I'm not looking at the right, this is just from last week.
So we do have Mr. Charles and Ms. McLuhan on the call. They could probably answer that best, Mr. Harris.
Yes.
So.
They have the ability to unmute themselves.
Great, thank you.
Hi, Ms. Glasser. It's Joe Shawless. So there are two factors that account for that discrepancy. One is that 44 to 51,000 rate is on an annual basis, and it's, I believe, a 14-month contract. So that maximum figure would include those 2 additional months of that expense. Another factor is that before we have the communication specialist in place, and as that person comes on board, Ms. McLuhan is going to be doing a substantial amount of one-time startup work, and we estimate a certain dollar figure for that. So that accounts for why there's some room under the cap. And then an additional factor would be, we do build in a little bit of space for sort of a la carte services before the superintendent would need to sign off on any additional work. So those all go toward that higher figure. However, if the district is uncomfortable with that figure, we could certainly lower it. We're totally open to that. But that's mainly in there to protect the district, so that the district has control over the variable cost component of the contract.
I personally would feel comfortable with a lower figure, and because we haven't seen the list of what Mr. Harris is requesting, we're not really in a position to be spending a lot of money right now. But again, I do feel like this is something that we absolutely need, and this takes the burden off of administration, because this is a lot. So is it possible, because again, these figures are kind of all over the place, if we pick a specific number and stick to that? So I like the 44,000. That was the lowest number.
Mr. Shawless, the 44,000 is the annualized rate for the
44 to 51.
That's correct for the the 0.6 communication specialist, and the variability between the 44 and the 51 depends on that individual's benefit elections, which we won't know until the individual is hired.
Okay. Ms. Seligson, that would also not allow for any of the work that was discussed about with Ms. McLuhan. Right now, the way the contract reads is that there's permission required for anything above $77,500. If we lowered that figure to, say, $60,000, would that be amenable?
And that 60 would include the 10,000 for Ms. McCullen, right?
That's my thinking. Yes, that would include somewhere around $10,000 for that startup work.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean we're right at the top there, so essentially 51,000 plus her 10.
Right. Right.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Still pricey, but that's okay. They'll do a good job.
They will.
I assume this is already budgeted or will be budgeted for next year's budget.
Mr. Gigliotti?
I'll need to add it to the budget.
I mean, assuming if we approve it, yes.
Yes, yeah, it will need to be added.
Okay.
Meaning that there's no accounting for it right now.
No, there's nothing in what I presented at Finance Committee in the preliminary, that one preliminary.
Can we have more time to think about this? That makes me uncomfortable. I'm not. How pressed are we for time with these figures? Like,
I don't believe that there's time pressure, to be honest. I think we can. I mean, the process is that we have to, if we approve a contract, then the IU board has to approve it. But that can, I mean, right now, the way the contract is written, it starts April 1st. Mr. Charles, would the IU be amenable to pushing that back?
Yeah, the timing of the start of the contract is basically the district's call. We could push it back to a May 1 start date with potential approval by both boards in April. That would reduce the overall cost of the contract because it would go from 14 months to 13 months because we want to end it on a fiscal year on 6/30/22. So we could reevaluate those figures. But as far as when the contract begins, we've always said we're basically ready to start at least some work and potentially post a position as soon as the district's ready to go. Pushing it back by a month would not be an issue from our point of view.
Okay.
I have a question.
Mr. Graves.
Mr. Charles, but if we do push it back, does that also impact the hiring process? Because we do want somebody on place, not in limbo, like not in the summer when there's more school activities. So would that impact that if we push it back another month? By the time you get that individual hired, we may be out of this year, and then they would just come on basically for next year, right? Or how does that work?
So based on our prior experience, it would probably take 6 to 8 weeks to get someone on board from the time we post. Could move quicker. So if we're looking at an approval a month from now, then we would be looking at having somebody in place in mid to late May or early June, possibly. we could potentially talk to the AIU administration about posting a position before the contract is approved to try to expedite the process, since just posting the position wouldn't actually obligate us to fill it. And we are likely to have to potentially make another new hire anyway. So that's certainly something we could discuss with Mr. Harris and Ms. Glasser.
So then what would the individual be doing if they're in place at the end of June when there's no, we'll still have summer school and everything, but what would they be doing? What would they be doing over the summer that impacts the school? Because we're not in session, so usually we'll be giving out information for people to have, and there's not as much information in the summer as there is during spring and fall.
Ms. McLuhan might want to address that point based on her experience with other districts.
Sure.
But I would say it's also partly whatever the district needs to be done, going back to the wish list that Mr. Harris is working on. And there is going to be some delay before we get that person in place regardless. So that's a time when the district can add more things to that hopper and have a sort of portfolio ready for that person when he or she starts.
Sure. Can you hear me, Mr. Shawless?
Yes, we can hear
Yes.
Okay. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, so in my experience, the work that school districts actually incur over the summer, actually in my experience, the summer is actually even a busier time, specifically with projects regarding student enrollment and recapturing students from charter schools. Actually, that's typically when those marketing enrollment campaigns are in full swing, in addition to not only creating the plan, the marketing plan, that type of thing, but actually the execution of activities. So at least with the districts that we have worked with before, summer is the busiest time as we try to recapture students from charter schools. I hope that's helpful.
Yes, it is. So have you seen the wish list that Mr. Harris is working on?
No, they have not. And
I have not.
and I can say honestly, we need to work about 2 to 3 months out to run a successful campaign or program. This is not something that we could say, okay, next week we want to do this, or even next month. We need to be a couple months out on everything that we do to do it successfully, so that it doesn't appear rushed. It doesn't appear, I had a word, I couldn't say it, halfway done. So we need to, whatever we plan to do with this, we will have a lot of planning involved and a lot of strategy in how we're going to go about it, not just trying to return charter school students, but the messages that we're trying to deliver and communicate to the public.
So there is an impact if we wait another month.
It puts us against the wall on the initial recruitment phase and communicating that message out. So it does, but that's what the board deems that we should do. That's what we'll do.
Doesn't it bother you that we don't really have this accounted for? Like, I trust that the work is going to be done and done well, but if we don't have our figures together, that scares me, unless you think
we have to
we'll
make
be fine.
adjustments. This is something that the board has talked about before I arrived. And I think now it's
Yeah,
time.
but those were very different conversations though. They were rushed. There was very little explanation. We didn't interview and talk to the company, so that it was very different. But sorry, go ahead.
Well, it was always about trying to get our message out, our brand out, and how we can build equity in the community through communication. So the plan is building off of what we've done already, and then how we could take it multiple steps above what we're capable of doing ourselves. So they would be a welcome addition to us, and we would just have to make adjustments on our spending like we've done in the past.
What do you mean by that? Because like I'm not I'm not debating the process. Like I said, I think this is great. But I'm just, our budget meetings have been very intense and long, and you know, you're there. So I don't want to say yes to something and it's going to come back and bite us in the butt and say, oh, well, we really can't afford anything. We shouldn't have said yes to that.
Well, one of the things, we did incur savings this year because we didn't have to buy a lot of supplies. You know, we were virtual, so a lot of the costs and expenditures that we would have occurred over this year, we did not have. Some of that money was offset by federal funding, federal state funding. And this would be the window of opportunity because a lot of the schools didn't have to purchase a lot of the things that they would have had to through the various funding sources that we usually use. So there is a window of opportunity here to sort of reboot after COVID, we might want to say, and come back bigger, better, and stronger.
All right, well, I'm gonna trust your opinion. I'm not comfortable with it, but if you think this is something that we can handle now and it's not, we're not gonna come back next month and say, my bad, my mistake, we didn't really account for this, I'll trust you.
Well, we have to put it into our budget and we will account for it moving forward.
So I guess my next question would be, there are several positions we're talking about. What happens to those positions at this point then? That the administration said that they would like to have, and we've only probably got half of what we thought we were going to do.
We would
Because
have
then that becomes a budgetary item.
we would have to look at where we are now budgetarily, because those numbers change because various invoices become due. And I think the initial budget conversation was a little premature, and those numbers were given that were inaccurate because the full picture was not disclosed. At the technical first budget meeting, those invoices and dollar amounts were adjusted. I think we were down, what, about 2 million from what was initially proposed. So the next budget meeting, we're getting closer and closer to the end of the year where invoices are due. And I think we need to do a better job of disclosing what has not been paid yet so that we can give a better range on what our balance is going to be. We should have a budget balance, just not where it was initially, where we thought it would be at 5 million.
A budget balance with options, because there's a huge difference between 5 million and 3 million.
Yes, there is.
And that means a tax increase, which I feel should not have to have this year. So will that be, I know when we generally do our workshops, will we be able to, you know, for lack of a better word, say a la carte, say, well, if you choose to do this, this is what it's going to look like, not kind of a force fed, we have to increase everything or else.
I believe, and Gigliotti, tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe the tax increase is built into the budget balance, correct?
What was presented included a tax increase.
Right, so that's how that 5 or 3 million came about, correct?
Yes, it includes the tax increase.
Right.
So whatever, you know, there's some things that we're going to need refinement on, but you know, it's still a work in progress.
Right, so we would have to look at what a tax increase or a smaller tax increase would entail to the overall balance. And that would change some of the proposals also.
Well, just for the record, I feel like these are services that we definitely need for our district. But if Ms. Seligson or other board members want clarification on the wish list and also the budget, then I'll be willing to table this for the future. But I just, you know, I mean, whatever the board wants to do at this point, but I do feel like these communication and marketing services would enhance some of the district communication and also some of the output in which we have individuals who are doing a really good job, but there should be like a collective effort to market the district and tell everybody what's happening throughout the district. So I guess I'm just on the fence or whatever everybody decides they want to do with the vote.
Other questions? Okay,
Well, can we get a poll or a feeling of if everyone wants to table it, or should we?
the way to do that would be to make a motion to table and consider that motion. So is that a motion to table, Ms. Seligson?
No, I said I'm fine if Mr. Harris thinks this is something we can handle and it's not gonna cause a bunch of chaos for budget. I'll trust his word, but
This will not cause chaos with our budget.
okay.
That being the case, any other questions? Okay. So then, hearing no further questions, let's take the vote. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Shawless, Ms. McLuhan, for being here. Thank you to the board for that discussion. Look forward to the services and to the further conversation about the list of things that we want to do, which I believe will be quite long. Okay. Mr. Gigliotti, do you had another item for new business, I believe?
Yes, I did. If, while I'm just talking, if you want to refresh your screen, it'll pop up. But we seek approval of observatory change order for Canfield Development totaling $488 from the Capital Project 39. The reason for the change, it's due to an unknown condition that was discovered when the observatory was demolished. The observatory was an addition to the existing building. And when they built the walls, they laid it over existing tile floor. So the area involved is small. However, the removal process is rather noisy. And the construction manager would like to have the work performed next week before the students return to school to have less impact on instruction. So if the board would consider this, I will let them know to move forward with it. It's a $488 change order.
For a motion?
So moved.
Second.
By Ms. Scott, second by Dr. Hildebrand. Questions or discussion on this? I will note for the board that I reiterated to Mr. Gigliotti again today, the need to ensure that change orders come to us in a timely fashion so that we can discuss them, preferably at committees, but certainly at the agenda meeting. This is not the best course of action, but given the low cost of this order and also the concern about impact on instruction, I wanted to bring it to the board's attention this evening. So questions or further discussion on that? Okay, hearing none, let's take the vote.
Ms. Glasser, I have to take a verbal vote.
Okay.
Mr. Graves,
Yes.
Ms. Seligson,
Yes.
Ms. Scott,
Yes.
Ms. Lawson, Ms. Curry,
Yes.
Dr. Hildebrand,
Yes.
Mr. Patterson,
Yes.
Ms. Lawson,
Yes.
Ms. Glasser.
Yes, motion carries unanimously. Thank you all for that. That moves us to reports. We don't have a document to recap committees for this month, but we did meet in committee at the beginning of March on the 2nd and 3rd, I believe, and had a vigorous discussion regarding the hybrid return to school plan, which was the focus of the Tuesday night committees. And on Wednesday, a great deal of discussion regarding facilities, reports from our construction manager and contractors, as well as technology and the updates on the budget previously referenced. We will look forward to having committees again on the 6th and 7th, encourage public participation and attendance at those meetings, particularly as we enter into budget season. It is important that we have participation in those meetings. So in addition, I also have an update from the Swissvale Library. Dr. Coluccio reports that they reopened on the 15th for limited service, including social distanced access to computers. Children 14 and under need to have an adult to accompany them, which will change once we get back to regular service, but that is the status for now. In addition, Dr. Coluccio provided an update on their summer program with Katie DeMint, who is a resident teaching artist, who will be providing services to support Swissvale's Community Garden, the Farmers Market, the Food Bank, and the Edible Garden Tour are among the programs that Ms. DeMint works with. And this summer, she's going to be bringing awareness to Swissvale's creative and gardening communities through engagements outdoors and indoors when possible. And I will forward to the board a summary of that work and see if we can't get that posted on our website as well, so that there can be public attention to that program. In addition, although I was not in attendance at the Sunrise board meeting last month due to other commitments, there continues to be conversation out there regarding the roof. And also there was a visit from Iceberg, the Pittsburgh Penguins mascot, to Sunrise, which was a very exciting day for everybody out there. The AIU board continues its work. Strategic Planning Committee continues to work, and we'll have a strategic plan in place for the end of June. Currently, the conversation was around mission, vision, and belief statements. And there was a good discussion last Friday on that, in which Ms. Seligson and myself both participated. Ms. Seligson, do you have an update from Forbes Road?
I do not have my notes directly from the meeting, but I'll read what we have posted on our website. So let's see here. We had a Q&A session for prospective students and families. There was a couple dates, Wednesday the 3rd, March the 6th, and Friday, March the 12th. We have an open house coming up for prospective students, which is Thursday, March 18th, tomorrow. And they have it according to last name. 8 a.m. will be 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. and N to Z last name will be 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pre-registration was encouraged. And just off the top of my head, we had executive, but I don't think there was anything majorly pressing. But that's about it.
And I'm going to call on Mr. Harris, Mr. Wilson, potentially Ms. Keeler, to give us a brief update on the return to school survey for families coming back hybrid or staying virtual, as well as additional planning potentially from Mr. Finney on the preparations of the buildings for the student return. Can we have updates on those things?
All right. Sarah or Eddie, you want to go high level?
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of the return to school survey that we gave, we had 2,716 responses out of 3,206 total scholars. So nearly 85% of our families with children in the district responded. We have 69.4% of those who responded saying that they'd like to return hybrid 2 days a week, and 30.6% stating that they'd like to remain virtual for the rest of the year. of those that want to return, 54.7% plan to use transportation. Those numbers and the exact responses, the figures by grade level, have been shared by Ms. Keeler with each of the schools. They are prioritizing contacting the families who did not respond, as well as making sure that all of the information necessary to transport students and to make sure that students are in the correct groups and are being picked up and dropped off where they're supposed to be and are in the correct home rooms and are rostered. They're making sure that all of that information is correct for families. Ms. Keeler, feel free to add in anywhere that I missed out.
That's a great synopsis of what we had. We have shared all of that information with the buildings. So the buildings now are taking it in their own hands. The elementaries all had roughly 100 to 125 families that they had to individually reach out to. So that's separated over all 6 pre-K to 5 grade levels. Dixon and the high school were between 200 and 350 respondents between those 2 buildings. So, you know, we had a great amount of response from a lot of our families. I'd also like to kind of give a shout out to our homeschool visitors who also worked with some of our families that have more intense needs, to make sure that we are also, you know, those families aren't falling through the cracks, and we are making sure that things are set up for those families as well. And thank everyone that participated in the survey. Your responses really did help us to get a solid plan in place, and for our teachers to really see who was preparing to come back into the classroom. So I wanted to make sure that we thanked our families in the district for participating in the survey and for getting back to us within that time frame.
The only thing I'd like to add to that, and this is not something that we've talked about before, but just an added bonus that is feedback we're getting from principals and buildings, is in the survey we asked for the best phone number at which we could contact each family and each family member. And as everyone knows, as I know personally from enrolling my own students, if you give your contact information, your phone number for one student and don't give it for the other, sometimes it can be difficult for principals to track down that contact info within PowerSchool, our student information system. So it's also really beneficial for them to have that information of best contact number right next to the student's name and ID, which was just an added bonus.
Along with email address.
Yes.
Great. Glad to hear that that is collected. I think it's important that we have email addresses as well. I think that is a great tool, and we should make use of those where people have been willing to share them with us. A couple of additional clarification questions that I wanted to ask, just because these have come to me and I want to make sure that we are clear. There was discussion early on in this conversation about remaining or reverting to virtual learning the week following the spring break. My understanding is that that is no longer the case, correct?
That is correct, because of the governor, the state relaxing the travel guidelines or bans or restrictions. We no longer have to follow those. So the students, when they return from their couple days of spring break recess, will return back to whatever mode they're in, hybrid or virtual.
Okay, I would appreciate if we could emphasize that to families as well as to staff, just in case people have been, not as in tune with this conversation as some of us have. I think that information may have gotten stuck in a little bit of limbo. And then the second question that I had was related to the virtual day on Wednesdays. What is the expectation for instruction on those days, and what do we expect will those days to look like in relation to or in comparison to the other days of the week?
Yep, I'm happy to speak to that. So Wednesday's instruction will look the same as it does Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday and Friday. So the students will follow the same schedule that they do on their Group A and Group B days. The only changes are in elementary grades. We have no specials on Wednesdays, and that's to ensure that every student gets to experience, every student that comes back hybrid gets to experience all of their specials live before the end of the school year. And then on Wednesdays, we will expect that that'll be the day when some additional attention is paid to the full-time virtual students in small groups as teachers see fit.
Okay, and that's true for all buildings. All buildings will have the same model, so there's not intervention day at the high school or something like that.
That's exactly right. It's all buildings will have that same model.
Okay. Any other questions on the hybrid return? Okay. Any other reports from board members? Okay. Hearing none, that moves us to public comment. Reminder that comment is limited to 2 minutes. Speakers are asked to give their name, place of residence or work, and affiliation with the district before speaking. We ask that you use the raise hand function to indicate your desire to speak. Is there anyone who wishes to address the board at this time?
I have a raised hand from Dr. Coluccio.
Dr. Coluccio, good evening.
Ms. Glasser, thank you for the update about the library. I just wanted to let people know that we made a change after I sent you that information. The library will open, Kate Coluccio, Director, Swissvale Library.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We made a slight change and the library will reopen this coming Monday rather than the Monday that I had reported to you.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification.
You're welcome.
Okay. I believe Mr. Shawless had a desire to address the board as well.
Yes, I'm sorry, and I was unable to find the raise hand button on my phone. Joe Shawless from the AIU, also a resident and taxpayer in Forest Hills Borough. I just wanted to thank the board for their confidence in us and Mr. Harris as well in entering into the communication contract. I appreciate all of your comments about your confidence in us and about the importance of this work to the district. And it's obvious that a number of members of the board are keenly interested in and invested in this work. Ms. Scott, Ms. Seligson, Mr. Graves, Ms. Glasser, of course, Dr. Hildebrand, Mr. Belmont, and any others I may have neglected to mention. So thank you again, and I look forward to seeing you in person at a board meeting in the relatively near future.
Thank you, Mr. Shawless. I think it's probably safe to say that we'll be seeing a lot of each other coming soon. So thank you for that. Anyone else who wishes to address the board at this time? Okay, seeing none. Mr. Harris, section 20, adjournment.
Okay. 20.1, we seek permission to adjourn the March 17th, 2021 legislative meeting.
Moved.
Moving to Seligson, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
Any objection? Hearing none, thank you all very much. A reminder that committees are April 6th and 7th. See you all there.
Thank
Hi,
you. Have a
everyone.
great
Have a
night.
good week.
Everybody.
Take care.
Everybody.